in a world that feels like it's constantly spinning out of control, just filled with one crisis after another and so much conflicting information, it is so easy to feel lost. So where do we find that solid foundation? An anchor to hold on to? Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever read something ancient and it feels like it's talking directly about today? It can get a little spooky. A thought like this one definitely crosses your mind when you see these old texts that seem to describe our world with unnerving accuracy. It's natural to feel a little skeptical, right? As if you're being sold some convenient story. And that skepticism, it really leads us to the biggest question of all. With so many different stories being thrown at us, from the news, from social media, from everywhere, how in the world do we find something real, something true that we can actually hold on to? So, let's start with a passage from the Bible that feels incredibly current, Matthew 24. It talks about a future filled with wars and rumors of wars. And whether you're thinking about ancient Rome, the world wars, or literally today's headlines, this feeling of constant conflict can just make the world feel, hopelessly dark. It's this constant barrage of bad news that creates this deep sense of unease, You start to wonder, has there ever really been a time of peace? And if everything is always chaotic, then what does any of it even mean? How do you find a clear signal through all of that noise? To really get this struggle on a deeper level, let's look at a personal story. This is Ruslan KD. He's a Christian hip-hop artist and podcaster, but his journey to faith was anything but simple. His early life is this powerful, raw example of how personal trauma can lead someone to completely reject belief. Just look at this timeline. It's a devastatingly quick path to disbelief. Imagine this. At just 6 years old, you're fleeing your home because of your family's religion. Then, only a year later, you're horrifically abused inside that very same religious community. For him, atheism wasn't just some philosophical choice. It was a totally logical conclusion, born from just overwhelming pain and betrayal. And this quote, wow, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? For Ruslan, the problem of evil wasn't some abstract idea you debate in a classroom. It was his actual life. His atheism was a direct response to the suffering he went through, almost like a shield against a world that seemed so cruel and a God that seemed, at best, totally indifferent. So, how in the world does someone with that kind of background find their way back? It's really important to get that this wasn't some overnight emotional thing. It was a deliberate, intellectual search for an anchor, something that could actually make sense of his life and the world. His journey was methodical. We're talking 4 to 5 years of asking really hard questions. Is Jesus God? Is there only one way? He explored different faiths, he talked to believers and skeptics, and he slowly began to challenge his own atheism, realizing that it also required its own kind of leap of faith. Now, a key tool in his search was something called apologetics. Instead of just accepting things blindly, he dove into the historical and the philosophical evidence for Christianity. This analytical approach was exactly what he needed. It let him build a faith that wasn't based on shifting feelings, but on a foundation of reason and evidence he felt he could actually stand on. But for Ruslan, and for a lot of us, finding intellectual reasons isn't the final step. An anchor needs a place to actually be tied to, right? And that brings us to the role of community and the surprising, measurable impact of being part of an organized faith like a local church. And when you look at the data, the tangible benefits are striking. Studies from places like Harvard show these powerful connections. People who go to church regularly have a 33% lower risk of death from all causes. Even more dramatically, they have a 68% lower risk from deaths of despair, like suicide. And their divorce rates are 30 to 50% lower. This stuff really points to the powerful supportive structures these communities can provide. And this impact, it actually extends to generosity too. Data shows that regular church attendees give 3 to 4 times more to charity each year than people who don't attend. It really suggests that these communities foster a culture of looking beyond yourself and contributing to the greater good. And this quote just brings all that data right back down to the human level. For Ruslan, the church wasn't just a place he went to on Sundays. It was a lifeline. It gave him mentors, practical life skills, financial literacy, the foundation he needed to become a better man and a better husband. It was the community that helped him rebuild. Okay, and this brings us to a really pivotal idea. If Matthew 24 describes the storm of a chaotic world, the very next chapter, Matthew 25, basically provides the instruction manual for what to do while you're in it. It's a huge pivot from just watching the chaos to taking action. Just look at this comparison. Matthew 24 paints this picture of crisis and darkness, but it's immediately followed by Matthew 25, which demands a response: stewardship and service. The message isn't to hide from the darkness, but to actively get in there and bring the light. So Matthew 25 lays out this clear three-part game plan. First, be prepared. Stay vigilant, like you could be called on at any moment. Second, use your gifts. Don't bury your talents out of fear. Invest them to create more good in the world. And third, and this is the big one, serve the vulnerable. And this is the ultimate purpose right here. This verse completely transforms faith from a purely internal belief into an external action. The measure of your faith isn't how well you predict the future, but how well you care for the hungry, the thirsty, the stranger, the sick, and the imprisoned, right here, right now. So in the end, that's what it's all about. A true anchor isn't something that pulls you out of the storm. It's what holds you steady right in the middle of it, empowering you to do good work exactly where you are. It's about being a force for stability and good, even in the face of chaos. And that leaves us with a final question for you to think about. In the turbulent waters of our modern world, with all of its own wars and rumors of wars, what is it that holds you steady? What serves as your anchor?